Now we will discuss an important law that is used in doing analysis of magnetic circuits. This is basically Ampere circuital law. This law is given by Henry Ampere in 1826. This law relates the integrated magnetic field around a closed loop to the electric current passing through the loop. The beauty of this law is that it is very easy to use. There is no involvement of integration in this law, and it is obtained rather quickly. Basically, Ampere circuital law is quite handy in determining the field strength within a core of a magnetic material. This law states that the line integral of the vector along any arbitrary closed path is equals to the current enclosed by the path. Mathematically, this can be defined as follows. That is, line integral of magnetic field intensity is nothing but equals to the total current enclosed by the path. Now, let us take an example and see how handy or how easy this law is to use. Consider a infinite state conducting wire carrying current I. Let us consider a wire or conductor carrying current I. Now we want to calculate the field at a point situated at a distance, or let us say at a distance r from the conductor. Situation is like this. We have a conductor . Let us take the conductor like this. We have a conductor. This conductor is carrying current I. The direction of current is like this. It means this part is basically positive and this part is negative. Current is flowing from positive to negative. Now what we want is, we want to calculate magnetic field, strength of the magnetic field at a distance r from the wire. Distance r, let us consider distance r over here. This distance r distance from the wire. If we look at the magnetic field lines, the magnetic field line will be like this. Now, we want to calculate magnetic field strength at a distance r from the wire. Now, take the closed path to be a circle of radius r. At any point on the circle, the magnitude of the field strength will be constant and the direction of the field will be tangential. So the field strength will be, as we know that from Ampere's circular law, we have to take the closed integral and this closed integral is equals to nothing but 2 pi r and this is equals to I. That is applying Ampere's circular law. From this, we can easily calculate the magnetic field intensity, which is equals to current I upon 2 pi r, and unit is ampere current. What we have done is, we just take a circular path of radius r, and we know that we have to take a closed integral of it at all point on the surface, that is on the periphery of this circle. The magnetic field intensity will be same, so closed loop integral will be 2 pi r multiplied by magnetic field intensity, which is equals to I. So from this we easily get the expression and the value of magnetic field intensity. See how easily we can calculate magnetic field intensity using Ampere's circular law. Now, as moving ahead, we are going to discuss another important topic of this unit, that is BH characteristic of magnetic material. It is very important to know the BH characteristic of a magnetic material, because this characteristic will very much helpful in deciding which material is best suitable for a particular application. Now let us start discussion on BH curve of a magnetic material. A magnetic material is identified and characterized by its BH characteristic. In free space or in air, the relationship between the two is linear. As we know that, we have seen the relationship between B and H, which is given by mu naught mu r H. Now, in a free space, we know that mu, this is nothing but mu, and in free space it is equals to 1. This implies that in free space B and H are linearly related by mu naught. Here this is mu r equals to 1. Now if we want to plot the characteristic of B and H, then it will be a straight line. However, for most of the material, the relationship is not linear. Therefore, the characteristic, if you observe that, the characteristic between B and H in most of the cases will be like this. Let us have a characteristic for free space, characteristic is linear. Here we have H, here we have V, and it will be done. Whereas if we draw the characteristic for other materials, usually the characteristic of other material will be like this. And it will move towards saturation. Now there are three different regions in this characteristic. The first region will be a linear region. The second region will be a non-linear range or non-linear zone or non-linear region. So here we have a non-linear region, and this region is linear region, and this is saturation region or zone. Now this is a typical VH curve of a magnetic material. Characteristic of the magnetic material. Now, how this characteristic is important and how we can obtain this characteristic and what information we can get from this characteristic or BH characteristic of different materials, we will discuss in this lecture later on. First, we will discuss how we can obtain BH characteristic of a magnetic material. For obtaining or for determining the BH curve or BH characteristic of a magnetic material, let us have a experiment demonstration for this. In order to obtain the characteristic, this is a very simple experiment. First, we will see the experimental setup. What will be the setup of the experiment for obtaining the BH characteristic of a material? Then we will see the procedure, what procedure we are obtaining, what is the theory behind that procedure. Then we will see how to record the results and to plot the armature, to plot the BH curve of the material. Now let us start with the experimental setup first. As far as the experimental setup is concerned, first of all, a sample magnetic circuit with the given material is fabricated. with known dimension and the number of turns. Let us say that we have a material. We prepare a magic core with that material and we fabricate the material in such a way that its dimension is known to us. That is we know the cross section of it. See, we are talking about experimental setup. What we know is, first thing is fabrication with known dimension, dimension current. Now we know that number of turns in the coil B, and we also know the mean length of the flux path, that is flux path length is L in meter. Since we are fabricating it, so we know what is the length of this limb, what is the length of this limb, what is the length of this limb. We also know the cross sectional area, let it be A in meter square. We also know the current. How do we know current? We will measure the current by using ammeter or by using flux meter. We also note another important quantity, that is flux. Now we have to connect the circuit as shown in figure. We have a specimen over here whose pH curve we have to calculate. We know the cross section area of it. For calculating pH curve, the theory behind this is if we know the B and H, we can easily plot the curve. How do we know B and H? We know that B is nothing but phi upon A and H is nothing but Ni upon N. So what we have to do is we have to measure this current and we have to measure this flux. We already know area, we already know mean length, we already know number of turns. So if we somehow measure these two quantities, we can easily get the value of B and value of H, and then we can easily plot the curve. So in order to measure the flux, we will use flux meter. In order to measure the current, we will use ammeter. Okay, now let us connect the circuit. We just remove this. we have to connect the circuit now. Now connect the circuit. So coil turns will be here. We put the coil turns over here. Output terminal, we will connect it through ammeter so that we can easily measure the current. We have to give the supply as per the requirement. We will give a supply. Since we want to have many values of B and corresponding to these value of B, we want to obtain H, then we will plot BH curve. So in order to have different values of B, means we have to give different value of current. To give different value of current, what we will do is we will vary the constant DC supply by using a variable resistance. This resistance will vary like this here and here. Okay. Here we have ammeter. Okay. Now from ammeter we can measure A. Now what we want is we want to measure flux. So we will use flux meter over here. Right now we are not bothered about how this flux meter will work. This is flux meter. It will give us the value of phi, and this will give us the value of I. Okay. We already know the mean path length. Okay. We know the cross sectional area. We know the cross sectional area. Okay. So this is the basic setup, experimental setup. It is very clear, very basic. Now we will discuss the procedure, how we have to conduct the experiment. Procedure of the experiment is very simple. What we have to do is we want to know the different value of current, that is I. We want to know the values of I, that is I1, I2, I3 and so on. Corresponding to these value of I, we will calculate H1, H2, H3 and so on. Similarly, corresponding to these value of I, what we have is we have I1, I2, I3. Corresponding to these value of phi, we will calculate B1, B2, B3. Once we get B1, B2, B3 and H1, H2, H3, we will easily plot the characteristic between B and H. So, in order to have a different value of I, what we will do is, in order to have a different value of H, what we will do is, we will increase the current from 0 to safe value. We will do is, for this, what we will do is, increase the current from 0 to some safe value. Okay. Now, apart from the armature rating, we will also record flux rating. Once we obtain the current from the armature, we will calculate. This is the step. Increase current. This is step 2. Calculate V and H. We will calculate H from N I upon N and V from phi upon A. Now, once we get the value of V and H, just tabulate him in the table. Step 3, form table of the reading. We have I, we have H, we have B. I1, I2 and so on. Corresponding to it we have H1, H2 and so on. Corresponding to this we have B1, B2 and so on. In this way we will have the data for plotting our BH curve. Now the next step is recording of result is already done using IMSA. Calculation of H and B is already done. Now what we will do is we will choose H to be x-axis and B to be y-axis and simply plot the curve. So what we will do is plotting curve. We have H on x-axis, B on y-axis. This point is nothing but H1, B1. This is nothing but H2, B2. This is nothing but H3 and B3 and so on. Now just connect these points. You will find that the BH curve is obtained. So in this way you can easily determine the BH curve of a material. In most of the cases you already, if the material is known, then you can easily get the BH curve of the material from the literature, that is available literature. You can see the BH characteristic from that literature. Now what we have is, till now we have the BH characteristic of a typical material. Now we will see what information a BH curve can give. For understanding that, first we have to properly see the characteristic and we have to understand different region of this characteristic. Here we have a linear region, as I told you earlier. Here we have non-linear region, and then we have a saturation region. Almost the region is parallel to. Although the graph is not very much accurate, but you can understand what we are trying to convey. This is a non-linear region. This is linear. This is saturation. Now you can see that in linear region, if you observe, a small change in H will result in large change in B. It means as we increase the intensity in a linear region, that is, as we increase the input current in a linear region, magnetic field density will increase rapidly. Whereas in case of non-linear region, large change of H results in small change of. Whereas in case of saturation region, you can increase H as much as you can, but you will not get any increase in the magnetic field density. What is the reason behind that? Let us study each region one by one. See, the initial position of the pH curve is nearly a straight line. Initial position is nearly a straight line and is called a linear region, as I told you earlier. In a ferromagnetic material, what is going on? If you understand the reason behind this linear portion, so we have to go at atomic level or molecular level or dipole moment level. See, in a linear region, in ferromagnetic material, we know that very large number of tiny magnets, that is magnetic dipoles, are present. And if you look at atomic level or a molecular level, these tiny magnets, that is dipoles, plays a very important role. The magnetic material does not show any net magnetic property at macroscopic level due to the random distribution of the dipoles and eventually cancellation of their effect. If you go at atomic level, you will find that there is a dipole moment, dipole distribution in the material. If you go at atomic level, you will find that there is a dipole distribution in a different fashion. Okay. Now, in the presence of external field, what will happen? These dipoles start aligning themselves along the direction of the applied field. Thus, what will happen? The more and more dipoles get aligned. As a result, resulting in more B as the H, that is current in the exciting coil, increase. So this is happening in a linear region. As we apply an external field, and in the initial condition, what will happen? These dipole moments are randomly aligned, but as soon as we apply an external field, what will happen? Initially, these dipole moments spontaneously start aligning parallel to the applied magnetic field. So in the start, that is during a linear region, this alignment is so fast that if you slightly increase the value of H, the increase in B is quite reasonable. Now, in case of non-linear region, what is happening? In non-linear region, you will find that the slope of the curve is gradually decreasing. So after the linear region, the curve is gradually start deviating from the straight line. See, after linear region, we observe after linear region, the slope is gradually start deviating from the linear part. So what will happen? After linear region, the graph entered the nonlinear zone, the slope of BH curve start gradually decreasing, and what is happening behind that? At the initial phase, the increase in B is practically proportional to the increase in current or increase in H, that is in the linear region. However, the rate of this alignment gets reduced after a definite value of H. Why it is so? Because during the linear region, large amount of dipole moments are already aligned. As the number of randomly distributed dipole decreases, this is reflected in this nonlinear region. Now, in a saturation region, what will happen? Basically, a time comes when there is practically no increase in B, in spite of the fact that H is further increased, and the material is then said to be saturated. What is happening in that saturation region? Almost all the dipoles get aligned before the saturation region, that is in linear and in non-linear region. Under such circumstances, we should not expect any rise in B even if EH is increased and the core is said to be saturated. At the saturation zone, the characteristic become almost parallel to the horizontal axis, that is the axis of H. So you will observe that the rise in the value of B in a linear zone is much more than in the non-linear zone. This can be ascertained from the BH curve by noting that the change in delta, that is change in H, that is delta H, in linear region is very small, whereas corresponding to this small change we have a large change in B. Whereas in non-linear region you will find that this change is now more, and in saturation region it is. So you can say that the rise in the value of B in the linear zone is much more than in the non-linear zone. So this is the information we are getting from the BH curve of a material. Now we already get the information from the BH curve. What this information tells us about a material. Now let us analyze the information that we already get from the BH curve. For analyzing it, we will take an example also. Basically, this BH curve helps in material selection for different application. As I told you earlier, different material will have different BH curve, and if the characteristics are plotted on the same paper graph, one can readily decide which of them is better than other. How it is possible? Now let us draw the BH curve of, for example, two materials. We have a BH curve of one material. We have another BH curve of one material. This is material 1. This is material 2. Here we have H. Here we have B. This is, for example, H1, and this is, for example, H0. This is, for example, H2. Corresponding to this, we have B and 1 not. Corresponding to this, we have B and 1 not here. Sorry, here we have B and 2 not. See, corresponding to this magnetic field intensity, the value of magnetic flux density, that is established, the flux established in the material M2 and M1, we have over here and here. Similarly, corresponding to H1, we have B M21, and at the same value, or at the same value of H1, we have B M11. You will find that the value of BM11 is greater than the value of BM21. What does it mean? This is for same H. What does it mean? It means that the permeability of this material is more, that is, the magnetization of this material is fast. It is the dipoles of material 1 align themselves fast. It means the losses in this material will be low. Now, so this is the characteristic of two different materials. From these characteristics, one can easily conclude that material 1 is better over the other material, as the flux produced in the material 1 is the highest for same, is high for same value of applied field. From the above discussion, it can be said that there is no point in operating a magnetic circuit deep into the saturation zone, because in saturation zone large exciting current is required to get a increase in B, and this large exciting current will put extra overhead on the source supply power to the coil. Also, if we see the application of different materials. From the above curve, we can easily decide that which material is best suitable for different application. For example, in case of transformers and rotating machines, operating point is choosing close to the knee. Why it is so? Because to do so, the magnetic material can be utilized to its true potential. That is, if we use the material till here, that is the knee point, in this region, if we increase H, we have a increase in P as well. So, usually in case of transformer and rotating machine, operating point is the knee, so that we can have a large amount of flux density. This flux that is established in the core at this operating point will link to the secondary of the transformer or the armature winding of the machine. Then EMF is induced and maximum power will be transferred to the secondary side from the primary. That is, the utilization of a core is maximum in this condition. Now, to design a constant value of inductance, the operating point should be chosen in linear region. Because in linear region, B and H is linearly related to each other. So, this is all about BH characteristic. So, in case of BH characteristic, just have a quick revision. BH characteristic, we have seen that first we see what is BH characteristic. You can say definition. Then we discuss how to obtain BH curve of material. Then we see what information we get from BH curve. If you remember, while conducting the experiment, what we have done is we are using a DC supply. Now, what will happen if we apply an AC supply to the coil? What will happen to the BH curve if we apply an AC supply to the coil? This you have to answer, you have to see it. From there you will find that what is hysteresis loop in a pH curve. That is how this hysteresis loop is obtained. Now let us have a very simple problem on BH curve, that is how to use a BH curve in finding the value of H or the value of B. Let us have a BH curve of a material like this. If B is 2.4 Tesla for magnetic material or a ferromagnetic material, then what is H? How you will do it? It is very simple. We know that here we have H, here we have B in Tesla. If we know the ferromagnetic material BH curve of material, just mark here is 2.4 corresponding to this point. You can have value of H, which is H required. In this way you can read BH curve. Maybe in different problems you are asked to calculate current supply to the coil or anything else, then using different relation. For example, in case of this, if you know H1 and you also know that Ni is equals to Ni upon L is equals to H1, this is given, and you can see and you can easily obtain the value of current. Okay, this is all about pH curve.